Hey everybody, welcome back to the Bourbon Note. I'm Greg.
I'm Ben.
And today, we're drinking bourbon.
Nope.
What do you mean
Light whiskey.
Light whiskey. Like Bud Light kind of light?
No, it's not. Nothing like that.
What's a light whiskey?
Well, we'll find out.
Well, let's find out. All right, Ben, what's this light whiskey you keep speaking so fondly of?
Maybe we should ask the frog.
The frog. Go, frog, go!
It's the light, comment, subscribe frog.
Well, and the light whiskey frog, evidently.
Yeah, well, yeah, there's that too. All right, that's enough of that.
All right.
Okay, so getting into the video for real here, we have
totally
this is light whiskey from Cat's Eye Distillery. So it's
They're
light
in
whiskey.
Iowa.
Yes, an Iowa distillery.
The one just south of Minnesota.
Right, yes. So this is sourced, but it's a light whiskey. So light whiskey is kind of a weird category. It originally started, so this one, just right off the bat, is 68.6%. So whatever the math is on that, it's in the upper 130s in proof. Very, very high proof. So the term light whiskey kind of comes across as maybe a
misnomer.
Yeah, exactly. But historically, light whiskey has not been meant to be a high proof like this is.
Okay.
What it is basically, so the legal qualifications for light whiskey are kind of like a bourbon, where they have, ingredients and they have aging and stuff like that, but their distillation proof picks up where bourbon distillation proof leaves off. So bourbon has to be distilled at a maximum of 160 proof.
60 or 60, well, whatever it is.
Yeah. And so light whiskey, that's the minimum distillation.
So it goes from there up.
Yeah. And the thing is after that, you start to lose flavor. You start to lose that grain flavor and stuff.
Well, normally that's called vodka.
Well, exactly, and that's actually what I'm getting at. So light whiskey became a product back when bourbon was kind of hitting its slump, and vodka became all the rage. Yeah. And so they wanted to come out with some sort of a whiskey drink that was a little bit actually smoother and easier drinking to kind of appeal to vodka drinkers. So back then they did not release it in the upper 130 proof. They would actually distill it really, really super high, cut some of the flavor out of it intentionally, and then proof it back down, giving it a...
Didn't they even go below 80?
I don't know. Well, I don't know what the legal ramifications are at that point with light whiskey in particular. Interesting about this one, that it's a majority corn mash bill.
Okay.
So I think I read it's like 90% corn.
Wow.
Something like that. So this one, if it wasn't for the distillation proof, would actually legally qualify as a corn whiskey because of the amount of corn in it and the way that it's aged. This is aged 14 years actually in used charred oak barrels.
Right.
So corn whiskey has to have at least 80% corn, I believe, but it has to be aged, in used charred or new uncharred barrels. So the opposite of bourbon.
Yep.
Two different ways. So let's get into this before we blab any more about it. So again, this is Cat's Eye. It's called Obtainium Light Whiskey. It's a banger. Runs about $55, I think. Boy, that is just a whole different animal.
And I think we've done a review of a corn whiskey, and you're a fan of them.
Yes, I've actually had one corn whiskey. It's mellow corn. Yeah. I haven't bought like the one of the other prominent ones is like that Balcones or Balcones, however you say that.
Yep.
The baby blue, but I just haven't gotten around to getting one of those.
Yeah, my guess is that one's probably quite a bit different.
But this does not resemble a corn whiskey so much. I mean, on
the nose, the most prominent note by far is just the alcohol.
Well, yeah, you can definitely feel, I wouldn't say that the most prominent note is the alcohol. I would say the most prominent physical feeling is the alcohol.
That's right.
I mean, it's a razor blade for sure.
It's a razor blade.
But it's actually surrounded by a lot of flavor.
There's some richness, some sweetness.
Very, very sweet. I get off of this one. I actually had a pour of this the other night. A lot of honey. Honey and light honey. I get a lot of honey and like light caramel. I've brought this up with other bourbons before, I think. Like a Bitto honey candy, like the candy, you know? And I haven't had that in a long time, but I really remember that, like in my memory, that's what this kind of is like. And I could be totally wrong about that, but that's what I'm getting.
Yeah, I'm getting lighter. I know I think the alcohol is really affecting my ability to get a lot of flavor off the nose. Like there's some sweetness and some caramel kind of notes, maybe honey notes. I'm really curious what it tastes like though, because the alcohol is so prominent and it's kind of affecting my ability to dig in deeper.
Well, let's give her a whirl then.
Let's give it a try.
Wow, that is rich.
I don't feel that the nose and the palate match up very well.
Really?
Like,
what are you getting different on the palate?
So the nose is just alcohol proof and a little bit of sweetness. There is so much complexity on the tongue. It's super thick and it's dense.
It's very thick and dense.
It's like almost drinking honey. Very sweet. A lot of interesting sweet caramel / toffee notes.
Yep, a little bit of vanilla.
Yeah.
And then just a ton of honey, which is not something I normally get off of most. Mostly we're drinking bourbon. I know that's a fairly common note for a lot of people, but I just don't get it a whole lot.
Yeah.
So what is the, hey Google, what's 68.6 times 2?
68.6 times 2 is 137.2.
137.2 proof.
That's pretty high.
That is very high.
You know, I'm totally getting the Bitto honey candy.
Right?
It's a weird candy. It's not super common.
It is, and it's not even one I like a whole lot. Like I said, I haven't had it in a while, but I do. I remember it pretty well.
Yeah.
And I'm just getting a ton of that on this. I mean, if you love alcohol and Bitto honeys, this is your jam right here. Now, these are released in pretty small batches. This is bottle 289 out of 356 bottles, but they do release a lot of batches. I believe this is MGP sourced.
Okay.
14-year-old. This was distilled in 2006. Now I got this about a year ago, so, and I don't know, 2006 was for 2020. So,
14.
I mean, just think though, 2006, this has been sitting in a barrel.
I can tell you my life was significantly different in 2006. I've changed career directions twice since then. Sort of, but in pretty major ways.
Yeah.
Pretty major ways.
That's one of the crazy things to think about with whiskey. You know,
totally.
It's like, you look back to like, this went into the barrel when my life was, you know, so different.
Yeah.
But this is actually good.
It is really good.
It's really good, but I will say this. Now, truth be told, we did a review of this when we were first trying to put this channel together.
Well, we were practicing like camera settings.
Yeah, and so we never
audio.
released it. Yeah, it just didn't turn out for whatever reason. I can't remember what the reason on that one was, but there was a lot of, yeah. But here's one thing I remember you saying about this, and I totally agree. This is not an everyday sort of,
I was about to go
aside
there.
from the proof, just flavor profile for me, because it doesn't taste like bourbon.
No,
You know, it's kind of its own, it doesn't taste like Scotch, doesn't taste like Irish. It's its own kind of form of flavor profile, but it's a good kind of
break from the norm.
yeah, sometimes you just want a shovel to the face and proof and just something kind of a little bit different.
But it's so sweet that I don't want a second pour of it.
That's kind of what I'm getting at too. It's like it's like you just have one pour every so often and just leave it at that. So the bottle will last quite a while. But that being said, it's actually really good.
It is very, very
When
good.
I had this the other night, it was just a random Saturday night. I wasn't doing anything. I was just sitting in bed watching TV, and I wanted to pour a whiskey. And I was like, you know what? I'm just going to try this light whiskey because I hadn't had it in a while. And just sitting in bed with 137 proof little pour of whiskey. It's just a perfect, perfect amount for like that. For a Saturday night, just having one of them, and it does the job.
Yep, that's a good idea.
But yeah, that's not bad. I'd be interested to get like a different batch of this and see how they vary since they're so
totally.
300 and some. And they have some of these that are done in like a sherry or port cask as
nice.
well. Yeah, so I wonder what that would be like. Like imagine this
finished light whiskey.
Yeah.
We were like really.
Yeah, so I think I need to get a hold
there.
of one of those for sure.
Wow.
So we've talked about Cat's Eye before. We've done their bourbon and their NASA Family Reserve. Really liked everything they've done.
Definitely. They've been just stellar.
Yeah. So yeah, go get yourself a bottle of this because it's definitely a different experience. If you're, I would say this is for whiskey enthusiasts or whiskey collectors. Like, this isn't an average.
No.
You know, I maybe like a pour here and there. Like you kind of have to be into wanting to try new things because this is definitely.
And this is not a whiskey and Coke kind of.
No. Although that would be a fun experiment. We could try that.
Yeah.
Let's do an old fashioned with this.
Oh.
Look for that video in the future. In the meantime, this has been Light Whiskey on the Bourbon Note. I'm Ben.
I'm Greg. Thanks for watching. Cheers.